Hey everyone, Ryan Walsh here with another episode of Triangle Real Estate Business Spotlight. Today we have a very interesting conversation ahead of you. I have with us here Wrenn Smith. Wrenn, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a little bit different from what you've seen on the prior episodes here. A lot of times we jump into people who are fix and flip investors, maybe they're buy and hold investors, but you'll hear in real estate all the time that there's a million ways to make money. And sitting next to me, I think, is somebody you're probably going to see on Shark Tank soon, honestly, after you hear what he's got for us. He is a Raleigh native. How long have you been here? Your whole life? But Wake Forest and Wendell.
Live in Wake Forest now. Grew up just outside of Wendell, kind of between Wendell and Nightdale.
All right, so he knows this market, and I'm not going to steal his thunder. I'm going to let him tell you about these awesome businesses he started in real estate, and I'll just be here to guide the conversation for you, the audience member here, to see if it's going to be a good fit for you, or maybe just spark some ideas for you in your future real estate career. So, Wrenn, if you could tell us about these businesses that you have started, and you're the founder and owner, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So, really the first venture into this kind of space was a business called Sand Savvy Rentals. And the premise of that is that we are focusing on people going to a beach vacation, obviously. And we're trying to tap into the convenience space of that. So if they don't have room, or they're traveling by plane or something like that where they can't pack bulky beach gear, we are able to have them rent the stuff from us, and then we'll deliver it to them and pick them up, so wherever they're staying. Now
you live here in Raleigh, so
correct.
This is for beach vacation rentals, right?
That's correct. So these are people who have coastal properties. This is kind of the benefit for the people who own the properties, is that they don't have to stock this stuff at their Airbnb or their VRBO, whatever they're using. And then it's actually more attractive because they can promote this wide suite of products that are available to the guests that are traveling to them.
Now, where are you in Wilmington, Myrtle Beach? Is that kind of your
right?
market?
So we launched in Myrtle Beach, and right now we cover about 20 beaches across North Carolina and South Carolina. So kind of right up to the Outer Banks of North Carolina, down all the way through around the Charleston area right now.
All right, so that's a pretty good niche. In real estate, we always promote find a niche, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is a really good example. So I just got to ask, how the heck did you get into that?
Yeah, it's actually a really fun story. I was working with a cloud consulting firm, and we did a beach trip for a retreat for our team. And we were in the Outer Banks in Raleigh, actually. So there's a 4x4 beach there. It's kind of isolated, which is great. Downside is we actually brought our entire families with us. So everybody had the cars loaded down, and we all quite literally got out of the vehicles, excited, walked down to the beach, looked at each other, and were like, so does anybody have chairs or umbrellas or coolers or like anything? And we were like, nope, nobody had room to pack it.
Yeah.
So we had to go buy it. So drive an hour round trip, paid 20x marked up items, because they're getting you, because it's on the spot.
They know if you're buying it at the beach, you've already forgotten
you forgot it,
yeah.
or you just don't have it.
Yeah.
And so we were kind of sitting there over the course of this trip, and we were like, man, somebody really should rent stuff to people and be able to bring it to them. And that was actually my business partner who said that statement. And 2 weeks after we got back from that trip, we started the company. And a lot of it was because we got to thinking, I've never seen anybody market or advertise this type of service. So I know they exist, and they actually do, but nobody does a good job of marketing it. And so that was really what got us into working with people who own rental properties. And it's been very interesting because it is very specialized. It's a niche. We didn't do a very good job in the beginning of marketing it. And I think what we thought was we could market to people at the beach. So the downside of that is that if people are already at the beach, they've already figured it out. They've already figured out that they've got to buy something, or they're going to just go without. So we ended up, I call it like an exit interview type of thing, but we ended up doing posts to some Facebook groups just promoting the business. And some of the people started responding, and they were like, had I known your business existed, we would have used it.
And so how long ago was this?
We launched the company in fall of 2023, but the first year of business was in 2024.
Okay.
So that was like that was our launch year. We had one location. That was Myrtle Beach at the time.
Now, were you in real estate prior to this?
No. So I'd never been in real estate prior to any of that. So
I met Wrenn at a real estate networking event, Grid. Just shout out to Jamie there. So that's really impressive. That's why I called it out, because it's only been, well, I guess almost 2.5 years now, but that's really good.
yeah, and so I'll get to the real estate tie-in in a little bit. So really, what we had to figure something out. We were like, okay, we've got to, how do we get in front of people?
Yeah.
And so we had the right idea to say, well, why don't we just ask some of the hosts? Why don't we ask some of the people who have their own rental properties if this would be attractive?
The Airbnb hosts.
The Airbnb hosts. As soon as we started talking to a bunch of these people, they immediately loved the idea. And so then we expanded. We said, well, why don't we go and think something bigger? Why don't we look at vacation rental companies and people who own portfolios of real estate that they rent out? Now, of course, it's still coastal at this time. But once we kind of started doing that, we thought we might have a couple partnerships. We actually got 60 partnerships in 30 days.
Wow.
And what that allowed us to do is we were no longer marketing in place. We actually had about 5,000 people doing our advertising when their guests were booking to them on the spot. So it completely transformed how the business was going to work. And we went from one location to 20 within 3 months at that point.
That's great, especially when you're, most people who are watching this video are probably in real estate, and we think in very long-term timelines.
Sure.
So to see that kind of growth is phenomenal, I think.
Yeah, and it comes with hurdles, right? I mean, obviously at that point we had a lot of logistics to figure out. We had had some teams that we had to expand, and we had to do some very interesting decisions on what are going to be the hot spots, and we're still sort of figuring that out. But what it's allowed us to do now is really kind of get to the point to where our differentiator is we're not local to like one city, and that's where a lot of our competitors are. They might have a 20 to 30 mile radius they service.
Yeah.
We want to be known for, if you're at St. Pete Beach, or if you go to Gulf Shores, Alabama, or if you go to, the West Coast somewhere in California, we want our brand to be recognized that, like, hey, they have the premium equipment and they have everything you need for the beach. Why don't you just rent their stuff from them? So we want to be sort of that presence. No matter what beach region you go to, we want to be present there.
That makes sense. And I think there's an opportunity for that in the market. I mean, what I like to take away from stories of this, because everybody has ideas. Everybody has ideas.
Yes.
And, as somebody who has had multiple startups myself, and some doing better than others, I usually say they didn't fail. I just learned a lot from other ones. The key that I think you guys took here was action after getting the idea immediately and intensely, right? Because you said, yeah, we thought about it. It was like, yeah, somebody should do this. And I'm sure you guys looked at each other like, we could be that somebody.
Sure. Yeah. Somebody should.
Somebody should.
And I think when you look at it at an idea like that, you kind of start thinking in your head, it's like, there's no way somebody hasn't figured this out yet.
Which may be true.
Which may be true. Or it also, a lot of times you get into it and you realize, oh, there's a big barrier to entry. There's these roadblocks, and there were roadblocks. But I think the benefit is we believed in the idea so much, and we started getting validation from these rental owners that we were like, we really do have something here. We just have to figure out how do we not let the roadblocks stop us from moving forward with the business. And that was, to your point about ideas. I've had tons of ideas in the past too, and a lot of it is you just kind of, the excitement wears off.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you're faced with a bunch of problems or hurdles, and you have a hard time getting over them. So you're like, man, maybe this isn't right. But we went through, and my business partner will attest to this. We, when we didn't get success with the first location, we thought maybe this just isn't, maybe we're not executing it right. Maybe we're not the right people to do this.
Sure.
So we nearly kind of closed up shop at the end of 2024.
Okay.
But we had a couple of introductions randomly to a couple of people, and some of this stuff, it's hard to say that it's coincidental, but I mean, there's just some random introductions that you get made that re-sparked the excitement. Sure. And then once we kind of had the logistics side sort of figured out, it really was, our imagination was the only thing that limited us to what we were trying to do.
Yeah, and I find those situations interesting all the time, because it's like, that's the story you hear on every single startup ever in the world. Is like, we didn't know the path, right? We truly didn't, but we knew, like, this has got potential, right? And we're just going to keep going, and we'll figure it out every roadblock we get to.
That's right.
And sometimes which isn't always talked about, is, oh yeah, we were real close to quitting.
Yeah.
We were real close.
It happens more than I think a lot of people think.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that. I think what you get a chance to do and what we got a chance to do was really reflect.
Yeah.
Like, are we really passionate about doing this? Is this really something that we feel strongly about? And if it is, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Or something, we'll find some way to figure it out. If it's not, then maybe we have to figure it out now. It's better to figure that out sooner than to keep carrying on.
Yeah.
So, like I said, we have some pretty sharp goals for 2026. We've continued to establish the partnerships. We are getting ready to be a part of some, I call them booking platforms, but they're kind of like platforms like Airbnb, where people are booking at the time, and everybody's pretty aware when you book something online, you typically have, do you want to add insurance to this?
Yeah.
We built a widget to where we can actually say, do you want to have beach equipment delivered to your space before you get there? And then they can actually tie it into our website. So that's going to give us a little bit more visibility this year.
Yeah.
And then we're actually launching our first beach gear rental truck. Not sure if it's going to be in Atlantic Beach yet, or it'll be in South Carolina. So we're looking at one of those two spots, but we'll have a physical presence this year.
And then it's just a matter of how that does, and if as long as it does well, now you're going to see it at every beach.
That's right. That's the idea.
Yeah.
Yep, that's certainly the idea.
Yeah, nice. What about, could you do it in Lake Jordan here?
We could, yeah. So we've actually had a lot of people ask us about, lake rentals.
Yeah,
and some
so I go there,
like that.
And I'm like,
yeah, like kayaks, and there's just some different things for the lake, and it is a concept we're looking to get into. We're looking to expand to the mountains as well, to have like a mountain concept.
Sure.
It's a little bit more dicey because of the travel around that area and the distance that some of the cabins are, but that is something that's been asked about us as well. So we're I think right now we're really, if we can prove the beach concept, I think it makes it a little bit easier for us to expand into these other areas.
Yeah, I always find in these ventures, call it entrepreneur ADD, right? Where it's like, yeah, this idea is great, this idea is great, this idea, and it's like, yeah, it's all good.
Sure.
Add it to the backlog, right? like my focus is here, and I'm staying here and letting it organically grow.
Right. It's amazing you said that, because I countless times myself and my business partner have talked about, could we do something for the cities? Could we do, all these different things start coming into mind. And I think what we had to figure out is, and he says this all the time, and I always love the way he put this, but he's like, if you chase 3 rabbits, all 3 are going to get away.
That's right.
And why don't we just focus on what we've started being really good at, and we'll keep down that path. It doesn't mean that you can't go after those other things down the road, but I think we had such momentum with the beach side of things that we wanted to kind of stay the course with that. And I'm actually happy we decided to do that, because I can be convinced pretty quickly to say, yeah, let's launch something in Boone. Let's go do something like that. I'm very I'm always interested to be attractive to a wide audience.
Yeah.
But with the coastal stuff and the beach stuff, there is a wide audience. We just have to kind of slowly kind of get there. So hopefully we can kind of do East Coast, Gulf Coast, West Coast is sort of our expansion plan at the moment.
I've always found with partnerships that do well together are when you can have that excitement and have that, like, hey, that's a good idea, let's do that. And then you also have a partner, and you can sometimes switch roles, but the partner's like, hey, let's focus here for a moment, right? Like take that excitement, right? Bring it here. And then sometimes, your partner's going to be like, hey, I got this idea. And you're going to be like, hey, take that excitement, bring it here, right?
Yeah. It helps. You kind of have to have that yin and yang type of thing. And
right.
The way he and I work so well together is I actually come from a software engineering background. So my trade, if you will, was I built enterprise software.
Yep.
He was more sales and marketing and kind of more into that realm. And
that's a dream partnership.
It is. And so he and I kind of were able to focus from 2 different angles.
Yep.
We ended up working together at the same consulting firm, which is another interesting thing. We felt we knew how we could gel together.
Yeah. We
knew how to communicate with each other. And if it was something that I didn't really understand, he was complementary to that skill set.
Yep.
And vice versa. So we've been very fortunate that we've been able to build our own web app. We've been able to build our own platform to run the business on. So we didn't have to have anybody come and do that for us. So we were very, we've been very bootstrapped from the beginning. We haven't had we've had friends and family investment so far. And the goal would be to kind of get some investment down the road, but we've been able to kind of accomplish everything we needed to with our 2 skill sets, which has been great. And that's exactly what you want with a partnership And it doesn't always work out, but so far it's been something that we've appreciated.
I mean, if you don't mind, we could kind of dive into that. I think it's something that's very valuable to the audience, because in real estate, you can't do it alone. You're going to have some level of partnership somewhere. Some maybe more like this is a 50-50 partnership, or maybe it's, a 25-75, whatever it is, there's some level of partnership. Are there some people that try to do it by themselves? Yeah, and maybe they do well. I can just tell you, I know those people, and they have no free time. They're slaves to their business, and honestly, they're always stressed because they feel like they have to do things that they don't want to do, and it's like they can't give up the control. But that's not the point of the conversation. The point where I would like to go with this is what you were just saying, is what about a partnership that works well? And I think you touched upon a lot of what you do. It's not about finding somebody to do something that you don't want to do. It's not what it is. It's finding skill sets that are separate, and it naturally delegates itself.
It does,
right?
It totally does, and I think you kind of touched on something very interesting earlier. Is the other business I'll talk about in a little bit. That's something I'm doing myself right now, and the stress you feel is that you feel like you have to do everything. All the decisions come to you. If you don't make the right decision, you've done that, and it's hard to kind of bounce some of that off of that. But a very solid partnership that he and I have is we can openly say things like, I don't think that's where we should go. I don't think that's a good idea, or I don't feel like that's where your time is best spent. Why don't you let me do that? And I think that's been the biggest thing, that it's so refreshing when you come across a problem where you're like, man, we need to do all this outreach, or we need to travel here, or we need to do this. And then your business partner is like, I love doing that. Let me step in and take that part.
Yep.
That's a huge weight off your shoulders, because then it's one of those things where you can breathe and you're like, all right, great. Now I can focus on this stuff because I know I'm really good at that. You do this. And then next thing you know, you kind of come together and both of you have merged into the same path.
Yep.
And it's not often you find that.
Yeah, and then something to also keep in mind is it's okay if you diverge as well at certain points. Partnership doesn't mean you're always in this perfect tandem. That's not what partnership is. I think, though, the yin and yang that you said is great, and you're always kind of moving around each other. You don't have to share if you don't want to, but I'm sure there were moments you guys butt heads, because that's, in my opinion, part of life, right? If anybody's ever had a boyfriend and girlfriend, spouse, you probably can understand partnerships have that level of just tension. But ultimately, when you're able to take time and look at any sort of issue, and the key is to make sure you're always after the same goal, right?
Absolutely.
And as long as you do that, it's okay if you have disagreements on how you get there,
right?
But as long as everybody's moving towards it, it's going to work out. I think a lot of times in real estate, what people do is they find people who have the same skill set as them, and it's like you're just trying to offload work, and that's not a partnership,
right?
Yeah, that's an employee boss, right? And honestly, if you're in real estate, that's what you avoid. I think, most people in there, they're like, I'm trying to get away from that 9-to-5 approach. So,
absolutely.
Find a partner that can find the things you don't necessarily enjoy doing, but you're like, hey, this business needs it.
Yeah.
And then also realize that there's parts that person may not enjoy, and you're like, hey, I will take that on, right? And
right.
It's becoming really powerful, and I think.
It is, and certainly it's not been peaches and cream the entire time. There's definitely times where we've had disagreements about a variety of things, and sometimes it's very small. Sometimes it's not anything major. It's not like, oh, we're disagreeing on where we should expand to. Usually, it's not anything like that.
Yep.
It's usually, oh, yeah, I know you didn't mean to do this intentionally, but you left me out of the loop of this brand partnership or something like that. And in most of the time, it's he and I just like, hey, you know what? Let's just talk about it. And then we can kind of move on, because at the end of the day, like to your point earlier, we neither of us would ever do anything that's kind of detrimental to the trajectory of where the business is going. I think we always have to come back and say it's not personal. It wasn't personal.
Yeah.
It was just at the time that was what I thought we should do, and vice versa. So it's you have to kind of have that understanding that both of you are working toward the same goal.
That's right.
And it's not a delegation. Like, you're not delegating work. It's like a great example. We had just started working with this logistics partner, and managing routes and managing the team was something that it was draining me a little bit. So he was like, you know what? I have a background in managing this. Let me take that for you. Let me take that on. I would enjoy doing that. So that's been great because I could focus on, optimizing the app, bug fixes, partnership growth, and then he's able to kind of work with the logistics team and kind of really manage that whole side of it, which has been great because that's just something I didn't have passion for.
Yeah.
But he did. So it was a great example of that.
And it really is a balance of the passion, right? Like,
yeah.
Because if you just are in that space of this is a grind, this isn't fun, and you can't get out of that, you're going to find yourself making decisions that keep reinforcing that grind and not fun. And then at some point you're going to break.
Right.
But if you can balance that whether it's, money can be very motivating, right? You're like, where you see the zeros, you're like, we do this right. That 100 goes to 100,000. Right.
Right.
And then add another 3 zeros, right? It just keeps going. Like that is exciting. Exciting is, in my opinion, like finding, you're like, hey, if I do this right, I only have to do this for an hour a week instead of 10 hours a week, right? Like there's different variations of motivation and fun, but you never want to get caught in that grind.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where, I'm not saying there won't be moments of grind.
Sure.
Like that's going to happen. But if that's all you're doing and you're looking back at your business like, what am I doing this for? That's, stop. Like, I'm not saying quit. I'm saying stop and reanalyze what's going on.
Yes. That's a great point. Yeah. And I think it's you hear it a lot. Are you working in the business or are you working on the business?
Yeah.
And, we've had to take a step back and say, we don't need to be doing this. We need to find a way to supplement how we're operating the business at a whole to kind of get us to that point. Because one of the interesting other thing we kind of realized in 2024 when the business was first launched, he and I were doing all the deliveries. We live in Wake Forest.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's a lot of driving.
That's a lot of driving. And we kind of got to a point where we were like, man, if this thing really ramps up in scale, this isn't scalable.
Yep.
Like we cannot scale this. So to your point, we had to pause for a second and say, yes, the excitement's great, but we haven't figured out all the pieces yet. Mm-hmm. So we have to kind of and that's another thing that I think is a misnomer in startups. Is I think a lot of people are like, oh, when things start falling into place and growing, well, you have everything figured out. That's usually not the case. It's usually that we had a few things figured out, but we didn't have everything figured out, and we're just handling it as it comes. Yeah, I mean, we didn't have the logistics figured out. We had one warehouse. We have 3 warehouses now.
Nice.
So it was like we had to say, hey, we've got to strategically figure out how to fit these pieces in if we really want to keep the growth going.
Yeah.
And sometimes you kind of need like that nudge, that pressure, because it makes you. It's like we really got to put our head down and figure this out.
Yeah, it's a strategic nudge. Yeah, I totally hear that. So, I mean, Wrenn, this has all been great. I also want to talk about your other business.
Yes.
Because I think people who are looking at this, they can appreciate the startup because in real estate, wherever you are, whether it's a software, you happen to build a business that is in the real estate field. But in general, if you're in real estate, you basically are a startup, right? Whether it's a fix and flip, real estate investor, like it's very similar. So I hope there's been a lot of takeaway. I mean, I know there has on this just from my own experiences. But this next part that I like to talk about, totally different business than what we were just talking about. I think a lot of people who already have a business in real estate are going to say, hey, I'd like to talk to you about this. Mm-hmm. Tell me more about it. So, Wrenn, if you could, tell us about this other business you also have.
Yeah, I'd love to. And honestly, the reason I went into the Sand Savvy story first is because it actually was the springboard to this business. And the way this happened is working with these vacation rental companies. Some of them manage a pretty large size portfolio, several hundred units. Some of the people we had talked to, they have a couple beach properties, but they're like, hey, we have some properties somewhere else too. We have some mountain properties. We're investors. And what I started hearing from them, some of the folks that we had really good relationships with, is they said, well, we struggle with getting to all of our properties and being able to change the air filters regularly. We have a problem with randomly light bulbs that go out, or our guests will come in and say that the smoke detector is chirping because we just happen to forget about it, and we're in hyper growth mode. We're trying to focus on our real estate portfolio. We're trying to really get that going. It's hard for us to backfill and hire somebody to do all that because it's repetitive, and we want to do it. We just don't have the time to get around to doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So what that launched was a company called SSR Property Solutions. That is the original idea was we were going to put it under Sand Savvy. That's where the SSR part came from.
Okay.
But it's actually its own separate entity now. And the reason we wanted to do that is because the branding is a little bit different.
Okay.
SSR Property Solutions, we're a nationwide service offering. So I think that's the biggest difference. It's not coastal anymore.
Yep.
It started coastal, obviously, because we had the relationships already. But the idea really is that it could be a homeowner. It can be, obviously, if you own a rental property, wherever that might be. This could be if you're a senior kind of living on your own. It's sort of one of those situations to where it's commonly overlooked maintenance items is kind of what we call it.
Yeah, just stuff you got to do. And
stuff you have to do. And if you have a property, you kind of have to take care of this stuff. So again, it's air filter replacement. So for your HVAC units, I do air purifiers as well, if that's a thing. But we'll do that on any interval you want, monthly, quarterly. I actually have people that do bi-monthly, which is interesting. So I guess they're just in a dusty area. And then we do a monthly check of all the light bulbs in your place. If something needs to be replaced, we'll replace it then. We check all the batteries, so remote controls, smart locks. We'll do smoke detectors, CO2 if you have it. We've started getting asked about Ring cameras. If we can do some batteries with that. We haven't launched that particular side of it, but it's certainly something we can do.
So this is for people who have, I mean, obviously you said who it's for. I know you said it. I'm just thinking, if I have a rental, maybe I don't have, because some of this, not every property management company does that. So some property management companies do that, sort of.
Sure.
For example, and I know this because when I was a renter, the property management company would send us air filters every 3 months.
Correct.
Now, me as the tenant would have to do it, but the owner would have no idea if I ever did it.
100%.
So this doesn't necessarily give peace. I mean, sure, it helps the tenant too, so you can sell that. But as the landlord, though, the owner, you know it's getting done. Is that right?
That's 100% true. I think when, especially from the landlord perspective, you're protecting your investment.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, it's everyone knows. It's like I think it's so overlooked that you're like, oh man, I don't even know the last time I've replaced the filters. Maybe I should do it. But I mean, what that's done over that period of time is really aggravated your HVAC unit. Now, when that has to be replaced, you've got a bigger problem.
That's right.
But if you can kind of proactively stay ahead of that, and that proactive term is the biggest thing I like to use, because a lot of people are like, well, I'll just kind of do it next time I'm down there. It's like, well, what if in between that you have a tenant who walks into their place and they can't get in because the smart lock's dead? Then you've got to have now an emergency maintenance call to kind of come out and do that. That's going to cost you more. So it's really kind of that protect your investment type of situation, and you have documented proof that things were done. So we label all the filters with the date that we've done it, so you know exactly the last time it was done. You get a video walkthrough of here showing you all the bulbs, show you everything. If there's something out of place, well, we can kind of alert you to it. A good example was we had a short-term rental property we were servicing, and the guest had told us, they were actually in the place at the time when our team kind of came in there, and they had said, hey, can you let the owner know that the dryer is acting up? Which I told her, our team is equipped to do all of this stuff, but we stay very much in our own lane. We want to stay to that recurring, repetitive item. But the cool thing is we were able to let the landlord know. The landlord lives states away. He has no idea. So now, not only was there a value to him because he knew things were proactively being done, his guests were taken care of, but he also now had something alerted to him that he can now send someone out to go fix.
And the tenants probably love it.
They loved it.
My light bulbs get checked. Everything just gets done for me.
Yeah.
Even though they are ultimately the ones that are going to pay for it.
Yeah.
But that's, almost not felt, right? Because it's like, it's such a
low cost. I mean, it's one of those things where, we've had some companies kind of roll it into their maintenance fee. They offer some of their tenants and stuff like that. And it's so trivial. It's kind of one of those things to where, we've kind of said, well, you have more of an issue not going with the service than you probably would going with it, because now it's just a set it and forget it.
Yep.
One less thing you have to worry about. Like, we partner with a company called Filters Direct USA. they do filter subscriptions,
Yeah.
and they're high quality, made in the U.S. So if they need that service done, they don't have to worry about getting the filters. They don't have to worry about getting any of that stuff. We document all the bulb types they have. So if there's something that's out of place, that's the other thing that happens when tenants kind of do it sometimes, is they'll go buy something random.
Oh yeah.
Now you had daylight bulbs all in your place, and now you've got daylight and soft white.
Strobe light effect going on.
It's strobe light. You have some random things happening. So it's also a consistency effect. And I think a lot of people who, especially if you're an investor and you're renting these properties out, you want to present your place a certain way.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's another big thing, is like if somebody walks in and they're like, oh, look at that dirty filter, or like 2 of these light bulbs don't work, or
you're out.
Yeah, it's all of a sudden it's like, well, now it just brings the quality down a little bit.
Yeah. No, to me, it's a no-brainer. Whether you have one property that you just don't, because a lot of times it's like, I only have 1 or 2 properties. I don't need a property management company. Fine.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yep.
But those are the things. Those are the things that you still got to do.
Yeah, I mean, we've got, I've got folks that have 1 property, and I've got folks that have hundreds.
Exactly.
It's just a matter of the really, really fun story. When we first started this, I think he was probably the second customer I ever had. He lives in New Jersey, has 1 rental property in Myrtle Beach. And he was like, I'm so happy I found you guys, because I would book a plane ticket and fly into Myrtle Beach every month to do all this stuff.
Wow.
And while he was happy to do it, because he was protecting his investment, he knew that was the cost of doing business to get his property.
That's right.
To rent like he wanted it to. But he's like, now it not only saves him time, and it saves him money, because he doesn't have to do the travel, the meals, all that stuff anymore.
He's been waiting for that.
He's been waiting for
as long as he's been a landlord. Yeah.
And there is this. It's not one of those things where, to your point earlier, it doesn't work for everybody. Just simply because sometimes you have cleaners who will do it for you. You have some different things like that, and that's fantastic. I think I'm glad that cleaning companies do some of that stuff. But what I found is a lot of times they're really good at staying focused on what they need to do.
Yep.
Like linens, staging the place, doing your sanitization, like doing all that kind of stuff is really where their focus needs to be, especially in a high turnover scenario, where our team can just come in, augment that. You don't have to pay someone on payroll to kind of come in and do this recurring maintenance stuff. Let us kind of handle that. And the fact that we can do it for all of your properties, no matter where you're at, I think is another added benefit. Yeah,
I mean, you basically handle the logistics for the property owner. I mean, it all starts from where we started this conversation. Is like, you had an idea. The difference is you executed on it and you built it, and here we are. So.
Yeah, and I think tying a little bit into the tech side of things, because I'm a tech geek at the end of the day. The one cool thing, and I actually had this from a guy I met in the network, but we've had some questions like, how do we know when your team is kind of going in and when they're done? Because for beach properties specifically, when they have weekly turnovers, you have about a 5-hour window between a guest checking out and a new group coming in. So they're like, how can I know that your stuff has been done? Early on, I was like, oh, well, I'll just text you. So what's the problem with that? It's not scalable. When I started having 10, 20, 50 properties, I'm like, I can't text all that. I just can't get around to it in time. And of course, they would ask me like, hey, is your team done? Can we let our guests come in? So we actually came up with a QR code approach that kind of sits on the counter. It can sit on the fridge or whatever. So our team will come in and scan it.
That's smart.
Yep. So then I know my team is there, and then as soon as they're done, it notifies us that we're done, and it sends an automatic message to the owner.
I mean, that's just an example of like, people. If you were to look at it now, you'd be like, oh, that guy's a genius, which he is. Wren's a genius, sure. But you didn't know that going in, right?
No.
It's like you figured it out as you go, and that's real estate as well. All of it. No house is the same, no closing is the same.
Sure.
You just figure it all out as you go.
Yeah. Well, and that's the interesting thing is, I have some houses that have tall ceilings, so it's like we have to make sure we notate that. So there's an initial walkthrough we have to do to understand all the different properties. How many HVAC returns do you have? Because some condos have 1, but then some houses have 3 or 4. It just kind of depends on the size of it. So it can vary based on all of that. But the fact that the other question I get asked is, hey, we have a property in the middle of nowhere, Louisiana, and I'll say, okay, well, I don't have a team in that region, but give us 2 weeks, and I'll have a team established. We can start your service at that point. And that goes back to the workforce partnership that I built for the beach equipment rental company. So it's kind of cool how that kind of came full circle, because
Yeah.
I don't think we would have ever done this had we not went the route we did with the beach equipment rental company.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see how all of those things play into each other. And I had some people say they didn't really think the recurring maintenance side would work, but I had enough belief in it and enough people validate the concept that I was like, I just think that there's a void in this market.
I mean, it's like any niche,
Yeah.
right? I get told daily, how do you have a business? Because, not that I'm trying to make this interview about me, but we're known for our very fast closings.
Yeah.
But we're not known for best leverage, best rates, right? And we tell that people up front.
Sure.
People just don't realize how much of a need there is sometimes for certain situations. Like,
Yes.
people are like, how many people need to close in 24 hours? I'm like, a lot more than you think, right?
Agreed. And I remember the grid event that we went to and the presentation you did, and I have a beach rental that I do now, and I'm like, I wish I had known Ryan
There you go.
prior to doing all of that. And it just goes to show you it's a matter of, sometimes it's timing, but I mean, sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And when you meet certain people like that and you see these different things, you're like, oh man, that's such a great idea. I wish I had known that prior to doing what I'm doing. But the one benefit for you is it equips you the next time. So
That's
it's
right.
like you can't do anything about the decision you made earlier, but you can certainly use the knowledge you have now to benefit yourself going forward.
It's bittersweet when you hear somebody say, I wish I met you,
Yeah.
Like, I wish you did too. But
Yep.
then it's like, the validation of your product, right?
Yeah.
Your niche. So,
and a lot of folks I've actually found with that I hear, it's like, oh, I wish we had done that, but I've already taken care of it some other way.
Yeah.
Most of the time, more often than not, they have actually turned out to be a referral
sure.
given. So they were like, hey, I didn't know this, but I have a friend of mine who's starting to do whatever. And then they'll introduce us, and the next thing you know, it's like, well, it paid off no matter what. So,
and then also, I mean, especially in real estate, it is such the long game where it's like, yeah, you made that relationship, and whatever their current structure is, there's a good chance in the next 0 to 15 years, it's going to change.
True.
So instead of them saying, oh man, because maybe they just found a neighbor that does it for them, whatever
Right.
it is, it's like, yeah, that's a pretty good setup. Keep that as long as you can.
Sure.
Right? But at some point, that neighbor is going to be like, hey, I'm moving, or whatever it is. Instead of them going to go ask their next neighbor, they're going to be like, the person I just referred Wrenn to really liked it, so I'm going to try Wrenn now, right? So it's just,
that's right.
It's just a longer sale. That's all it is, but it's still a sale. Yeah,
it is, and I've had several people, say, hey, my nephew's doing it for me right now, but he's going away to college.
There you go.
So we're going to need, so it is one of those things to where I've also kind of presented it sometimes to some of the owners, and we're never saying you have to do this, you have to do anything. It's more of a convenience aspect that we're presenting to them. But like, hey, if you ever get tired of the drive back and forth, let us know, because it is one of those things to where it's like, I mean, you can really offset the cost of your gas driving, even if it's a few hours, by just using our service once a month. I mean, so
an idea just came to me. You should find MLS access, find out who's the owner, and as long as they don't live near it, you should be reaching out to them, because they're going to be like, yeah, heck yeah.
that would be a great. It's actually a really great idea. Yeah, one thing I didn't get to that I think would be interesting to talk about is the trash can to curb service.
Sure.
So when we first started, it was just the filters, bulbs, batteries, overlooked essentials, I call it. And then we had some people say, well, we don't want to ask our guests to take the cans to the curb. And what happens is cans overflow. Guests don't know where to put trash. Unfortunately, a lot of it gets put in the units and is strode everywhere.
Yeah.
Or a lot of times, depending on the city they're in, there can actually be ordinances where the property owners get fined if the trash isn't handled appropriately. So that's another really, really convenient service. It's something that's been very popular with us. Is just a weekly. We come, we'll take the cans to the curb, we take a picture of it, send it to you. The timestamp of when it's done, you see the placement, and then the next day after the collection's done, we'll bring them back.
And your guests are going to love that if you put that in your advertising. I don't know where you put that, but as soon as you find out as the person staying, like, you just throw your trash here, we'll take care of it. Like,
that's right.
Nice.
Or even we tell the host, it's like, hey, if your guests filled up the trash, say they had a huge party, and your cans are full, we actually will come and do an on-demand emptying of the cans for them.
Yeah.
So that's a benefit, because there are a lot of the people, especially folks that have houses that can fit 20 people, which seems odd, but there are big beach houses like that. that's a big concern for them because they're like, we only have 4 trash cans, and then things are going to get filled up in the second day.
Yep.
So we'll most of the time for those, we'll come and do a couple pickups in peak summertime for them.
Man, all of this, in my opinion, is just genius, no brainer. Like, it's one of those things that it's just going to become so commonplace,
right?
That in 10 years, like, people won't even remember what it was like not having it.
Right? Yeah.
That's how it feels to me, and it's always, I think anybody has had that idea at some point, be like, somebody should do this. But now we're sitting with somebody who said, I could be that somebody. I'm going to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate you saying that. It's also, I feel fortunate, like I said, just because we had a way to scale our team so quick.
Yeah, but you created that.
Yeah, well, we sort of created the need for it. Yeah, we kind of created the need for that, and a big shout out goes to the guy who runs. He basically is creating what I think is going to become the biggest marketplace app in the country here in the next couple of years. But we got to him very early on, and it was one of those things where he had a way to really help our business and loved it. He had a passion for it too. I think that's the other thing that sometimes we can really pull a thread with somebody, and they're like, man, I can't tell you how many times I have needed beach gear. I can't tell you how many times I've needed, whatever. And they just genuinely want to help you out.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
and it's like those types of things you can't state too much, because if it wasn't for that situation, wasn't for that introduction to that person, who knows kind of what we may still be operating in one beach. We may not have expanded.
Which is very true. But that's how it goes, right?
Yeah.
Like, those things only open up and present themselves if you're on the path.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's like, I understand you're saying, like, it's like, well, I got lucky. And I'm like, I shoo away that. I'm like, no, you built the business, you saw an opportunity, and you seized it. And you didn't know that opportunity was going to be there when you started. That's true.
For sure.
But if you were there, raising the towel or whatever, saying, hey, I'm here, like, that's how success happens, and that's any business. So
agreed. Yeah, I definitely don't think it was a lot, because I think too, even with the introduction, sometimes you can get an introduction to somebody and you're like, well, I'll get to them later.
Yep.
And I think a lot of it is just pursuing the relationship.
That's right.
And I think that's the other thing is we were so gung ho about, we'll talk to anybody and make it successful. And I'm still that way. Like, I'm still to the point to where I enjoy talking about it. I truly feel that the services that we offer really benefit, hosts, benefit guests, benefit people on vacation, whatever. And I think that's why I'm so passionate and love it so much, is because it's something that my family would use and does use, especially when we go to the beach. And it's something that it's not often you can kind of start a business, I think, where you can get where your friends and all of those folks can benefit from it.
As excited as you are about it. Yeah.
And it's just really cool to kind of have that aspect. I've been in B2B software for so long.
Yeah.
When I talked about that business, like, your friends are kind of like drifting off. They
they
don't care about it because it's just like, it doesn't relate to them a whole lot.
Yeah.
But this is one to where, it's just really fun to talk about.
Almost everybody is going to feel like.
Yeah. Huh. And I think the other thing that we've constantly talked about is, I mean, our promotional events, when we do, especially for the beach gear stuff, are parties. Like, we throw these events with these restaurants in these different beach locations at Memorial Day, like launch to the beach, all this kind of stuff. And like, it literally is like, we are promoting our business, but at the same time, like, we're having a good time.
That's right.
And it's just, I've always been a beach person, so I love being at the beach. So it's just, it doesn't feel like work. It feels like
that's where the magic happens.
Yeah.
Right. When you're able to, like, all right, I'll just say it. This interview is work for me, right? This is a marketing for me, but like, I'm genuinely enjoying talking to you right now, right? Like, if you can find ways to do things that you enjoy, even if it's throwing a party that benefit your business as well, it's like, you're in the sweet spot. That's where you want to be.
Yep.
So, it's awesome to hear. And now, I mean, Wrenn, we could probably talk forever on this. How can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, so we're all over Instagram, Facebook. So at Sand Savvy Rentals, at SSR Property Solutions. You can always kind of call and text me. I'm always available to talk about any of the businesses. And yeah, I mean, so social, we're on all the time. I would say that's the quickest way to kind of see what we're doing. We have event promotions on there. We'll have some different service offerings that we're adding, and that's just a great way to kind of interact with us and let people kind of see what we're doing.
Awesome, Wrenn. Well, thank you for sharing your story. I hope you, the viewer, have found this very helpful. These services, whether you use it or not, I hope you just look at Wrenn's story as inspiration, and just know if you're just starting real estate, we've all been there. If you're in real estate, hopefully you just enjoyed hearing another success story like your own. So thank you for watching this. Thank you, Wrenn, for taking the time to share your story with us.
Thanks, Ryan.
And
I appreciate it.
Do it again sometime.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Hey everyone, Ryan Walsh here with another episode of Triangle Business Real Estate Spotlight. I don't know the name of my show. Triangle Real Estate. It's Trebs. Yeah, I think I did Triangle Real Estate Business Spotlight. Hey everyone, Ryan Walsh here with another episode of Triangle.
That's great.
This goes on the takes. My company's Hard Money Bankers. I don't want to make it sound
right. I knew that.
I don't want to make it be like Hard Money Bankers. I'm trying to make like.
So what is this? Triangle Business Real Estate?
Trebs. No, it's Trebs. Triangle Real Estate Business Spotlight. And this will be on the highlight reel. So hopefully that makes it easy for you. You're like, oh wow, you can really fuck up.
Yeah. I like that. I do like that. Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out with us on the Triangle Real Estate Business Spotlight. If you liked what you heard, do us a favor. Hit like, drop a comment, and share it with a friend. It helps us grow and keeps the conversation going. Until next time, thanks for tuning in.